In the Gemara we're holding...
We continue the same?
Yeah, but before we continue, we're holding on Daf Nun Beis, Amid Beis. But before we continue, the Gemara never discusses the Yisoid, the foundation of the mitzvah of Havdala. I'd like to discuss tonight the foundation of the mitzvah of Havdala, and then we'll see how much Gemara we'll get to. Here, you want to give Shmulik a copy?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Let's look at the Rambam.
Amen.
There's a Sefer V'Harivno from the son-in-law of Rabbi Yochanan Marsov. Talmud wrote like interesting shilas that he tells in a shiur. He says he got a phone call like this 2 years ago. The operation, what was it? Desert Edge, whatever.
Yeah, Desert Storm.
No, in Israel, in Gaza, when they went into Gaza 2 years ago, and the soldiers.
Barzel?
Whatever it was.
Okay.
Showing in the summer, they went into Gaza, and it was fierce fighting. So there was a religious soldier, Shabbos Ashach. So they were fighting all night, Leil Shabbos. They went in Friday afternoon, they were fighting all night. Came back Shabbos morning to their base. They were exhausted. They all fell into beds, slept. Woke up. It was an hour left to Shabbos. They woke up and they said that they need them quickly back. They should be ready in an hour. Guy thinks to himself, an hour.
Kiddush Havdala, which way?
Right. He didn't think much. He right away made Havdala. As we'll say soon, Havdala you could make a little before it was already after Plaga Mincha. You could make Havdala. He made Havdala. Then another Pekudah came, saying that they don't need them that quickly. They need them in 3 hours or something. Now the soldier realized, wait a minute, I'd never made Kiddush. He never made Kiddush, he never ate Suda Shabbos, Gornish Menisht. Now he was wondering
If you could make Kiddush after you make Havdala?
if you can make Kiddush after you make Havdala.
That's the question he
Yeah.
asked me.
So Rav Zilberstein said that he got the phone call. And Rav Zilberstein said he got the phone call asking, could the soldier make Kiddush now that he already made Havdala? That was his question.
What would be the tzad hater?
Okay, here.
You could bring another table here if you need.
Yeah, the valid is enough place.
Troll Dove's gonna be here too.
Come sit right here. There's a chair for you. All warmed up. Okay?
Thank you.
Dara?
This is fine.
Mr. Oldova, do we have a chair for you right here?
Thank you.
Again, we're holding on Daf Nun Beis Amid Beis, and we're holding 5 lines from the bottom, and we're now learning about the foundation of the whole mitzvah of Havdala. As I said in introduction, the mitzvah of Havdala, the Gemara talks about it as if you know already. Oh, you have a copy? Daf Nun Beis Amid Beis, 5 lines from the bottom. But we're not going to get to the Gemara so quickly. First, let's look at the Rambam.
1 second, so let's go back to the Shaila.
Back to the Shaila. So again, the son-in-law of Rabbi Yochanan said that he got the following Shaila. A religious soldier went into Gaza. This was 2 years ago in the operation, the summer. What was the name of the operation? You remember?
Kaitan?
No, Operation Sunny Edge.
Something Edge.
Kaitan, no?
Yeah.
Shmolek, no?
Yeah.
Kaitan.
What's the
They were fighting from Friday all night.
Yeah.
They got back.
Yeah.
This frum guy, he fell into bed at geschlafen the ganze Shabbos, but they were fighting for 14 hours.
Yeah.
Got up an hour before Shabbos was finished.
Yeah.
And they said they had a pekudah in 1 hour. They should go back in. So he figured, how long is he going to fight? He has no idea. So he chapped a kois and he made Havdala.
Yeah, okay.
Then they got a second pekuda
Yeah.
that they're going in a few hours. So there's not such a rush.
Okay.
So he thought to himself, hey, wait a minute, I never made Kiddush. I didn't make Kiddush Friday night. I didn't make Kiddush Shabbos.
Right, yeah.
What should I do now?
Yeah.
There's still an hour left to Shabbos. The Havdalah was a valid Havdalah. It was already after Plaga Mincha.
Yeah.
As we'll learn soon, you can make Havdalah.
So what's Shaila?
Shaila is, could you make Kiddush after Havdalah? It's like a little funny. It's like putting on film after Ma'ariv.
Well, this case is a very special case because he had no clue what was going to happen. So
Okay.
He did what-
So he called. Okay. So,
Protective
but what you asked, what's the shaila? The shaila is the din is a person davens ma'ariv before the zman, but in the zman that you're ready, lot of daven ma'ariv according to some of the rishonim as the first toisvis and meseches brachos, whatever. After a time that you're allowed to daven ma'ariv, then he wants to put on film.
So ready Sunday.
So now you can't put on film after you daven ma'ariv. You know, there's another din. A person that it was a oinus.
But wait about the Havdalah. When he did the Havdalah, and then he said he wants to do Kiddush, he daven Ma'ariv already or not?
That's not very relevant.
It's not relevant because
Yeah.
he made Havdalah
Yeah.
already. Yeah, okay. Okay.
He forgot. That was a story. Rav Zilberstein says that was a story. He got a phone call, Motzei Shabbos, Ma'aseh Shahoya Kachoya. That's what happened.
It means the war, so
Yeah.
he doesn't have time to think.
So there's a similar din. For example, in the morning it was oinus, and it's in this man between Alois Shachar.
So the question is he allowed to put on tefillin? What's the question exactly now?
What? Now he wants to know if he can make Kiddush now.
Kiddush he made Havdalah already and it's still Shabbos? Or it's not
It's
Shabbos?
an hour to Shabbos.
Shabbos is still here?
Yeah.
So why can't he make Kiddush?
Why can't he make Kiddush? Because it would probably not make sense to make
But he's
Kiddush.
a special matzah. He's a soldier. He's not a regular person.
I'm a yachsin. Could I?
Because he's what is he doing? He's doing this for fun to become a soldier?
No, but okay, good. Listen, could be Mechal Shabbos, and it's a bigger mitzvah. His Chilul Shabbos and that Shabbos is probably much bigger than any one of us who is sitting and davening here in comfort and eating a potato kugel. His not davening a Shabbos is elav alfa elav v'ribber evav more than ours sitting here and davening b'menucha and eating potato kugel. But for a shayla is a shayla. Could you make a bracha? Is it a bracha levatola? Could you do it? Can't you do it? If you could, you could. If you can't, you can't.
They asked him after the fact, or they asked him before the fact?
So it probably wasn't a relevant question. I can't imagine when did they call him, when they ask him. Okay, but he says that was a ma'aseh that happened. So it could be the soldier last later, you know. So what should have I done? What, you know? Okay, so that was a shayla. So he had a psasvora based on the Shvida Shabbos Kilchosa and Ha'ora that there's no contradiction to do Kiddush after Havdalah, not a contradiction. Mitzvah will maybe get to it later, but I'd like to first introduce a shtickle and Rambam here, and a geschmack beer from the Rebbe on the fundamentals of making Havdalah.
What closed
Then
the
we'll go
door?
back to this question.
What closed the door for Shabbos? You know, Shabbos. I want to make longer Shabbos. It's Shabbos for me. What closed the door? By saying the Amad ibn Kodesh Lechol, by making Havdalah. What?
The din is that you could make a Kiddush earlier, and that brings in Kiddush as a Shabbos. You can also make Havdalah earlier, but that you can't do Malacha after that.
Uh-huh.
So it's like an
So
interesting thing.
What's cut the Shabbos? What make it that is on
Okay,
Shabbos?
so let's look at the Rambam and then hear what the Rebbe has to say. Basically, the Rebbe is going to have three mahalchim in explaining, according to the Rishonim, what is the Yesod, what's the foundation of the mitzvah of Havdalah. What is this whole thing of Havdalah? Sagt der Rambam, mitzvah semen ha-Torah. Lekadosh Hashem HaShabbos Dvorim Shem Mezach Hashem Shel Lekatche Kolam Zecheres Shevach VeKiddush. That it's a mitzvah semen ha-Torah to sanctify the Shabbos. It says in the pasuk Zech Hashem Shem Lekatche. It's a parshyos yisro. We just learned it. What does it mean Lekatche? Lekatche means that we mention it in a way of Shevach, in an exalted way. Okay, that's point number one. I'm sorry, I put the point number two over there, and then next. Now is point number two. V'tzarich l'zachareu b'knisosoi u'v'tziyosoi. Point number 2 is you have to remember Shabbos when you go in once and when you go out a second time. That's point number 2. Point number 3. B'knisosoi b'kiddush hayoim u'v'tziyosoi b'havdala. When you go into Shabbos, you sanctify the Shabbos with Kiddush, and when you go out, through Havdalah. So first thing you see immediately from the Rambam is that the Rambam holds that Havdalah is a mitzvah min ha-Torah. We're going to learn tomorrow in Mi'etz Hashem, the Shulchan Aruch, the Poskim have a dispute about this, and it is very, very relevant. One of the most important questions that come out of this Machlokes is, can you make Havdalah for a woman if you were already Yoitza?
Because it's the Oisa.
Now, if she's obligated, so as we say, the golden rule, if there's one you didn't put on film, I didn't put on film. If the woman is obligated, she didn't hear Havdalah, I didn't hear Havdalah. If she's not obligated min ha-Torah, then what do you mean I didn't hear Havdalah? I heard Havdalah. She didn't hear, she's not obligated. So how can I make Havdalah for a woman? The Alter Rebbe goes as far as saying, because of this question, and because mitzvahs you don't need to have kavanah, so when you're in shul and you hear Havdalah, you should have kavanah. If you want to still make Havdalah for your wife when you get home, you should have kavanah not to be yoitza. You should have kavanah not to be yoitza if you're planning to make for a woman when you get home. Because otherwise,
if you hear it in shul,
if you hear it in shul,
Because if you're in shul, you can go home and make Havdalah for her.
because it's a shaila. So we'll get to that tomorrow. But the Rambam clearly holds that mitzvahs are same in Torah. The Kiddush and Havdalah are on the
Could she
same
make
plane.
Havdalah herself once he...
Yeah, gesundte Heden, Freiligkeit. Yeah, let her do
I
it.
was going to say,
Yeah, for sure. One
she
can
can
make
make it herself, and he doesn't have to.
Yeah, for sure. But women don't like to do it for some reason.
If he wants that.
Yeah, he can hold the candle. Maybe he'll be zeichet to tol kala. But the thing is that for some reason women don't like to make Havdalah. It's the way it is.
It's good for a beard.
That's what they say.
That's,
Could be the
one-
pshat is
Why
because
not
it's a
fuck with
shaila, if they're chayiv or not. So could be they're not chayiv. Ibazoi, it's only a din of the man. So Ibazoi, from that came the legend that if the woman drinks Havdalah, she grows a beard.
Wow.
That's
It's a bobber
I didn't know that one. I didn't.
you never heard that one?
No.
Oh, come on.
Maybe it got lost.
That's
I
gefährlich.
don't think I
How
heard
could you
it.
not know? To be Yisro, I thought you know everything.
It's all you
No,
Yiddish
that's
folk.
for sure not true.
So now you proved yourself. Okay, sure.
Sag mehr wichtige Sachen, weiß ich nicht.
But that's only if it's not midaraisa.
Right. It's a shaila.
So where does the Rambam get it from? Which pasuk in the Torah?
Oh, so which pasuk in the Torah does he get it from? It's not a clear Gemara. It has to be a pasuk. Which where does he know this from?
He said it's Choros Yom Shabbos Lekatcha.
That's only
Oh.
Shabbos itself. How do you know that
So
about the
it's
Shabbos?
interesting. So how do you know Matzah Shabbos? So there is a Machlokes Rishonim where he learns it. Basically, there's two psukim that the Rishonim suggest. The Magid Mishnah says. Look at the Magid Mishnah. It says, "Divrei ben nire bebir shusev Havdalah gamkin dvar Torah vakel b'chol zorcher." V'risu meforshim cholkum zeh shev given Rabbeinu. There's some that hold like the Rambam. Others disagree. Others say that's only the Divrei Sofrim. And then he goes into a whole thing that about women. Okay. The bottom line is that according to the Maggid Mishnah says that where do you learn it from, and also others say that it says in the pasuk Kol Havdal ben HaKodesh u'ben HaChoel in Parsha Shmini. So there's a mitzvah to separate between Kodesh and Choel. There's a pasuk you have to be separate from Kodesh to Choel. That's one. The Smag says no. We learn it from, it says Zocher and it says Shomer. Like the Migdaloi says in the bottom here. You see the first line of the very fat lines, the biggest line of Migdalois? So he says, look one line in front of that. Gam ani oim v'oimer zechira b'kiddush shmira b'avdala b'alav v'lo bo b'chlal atzei v'afgav shnei min ha'toira ha'kiddush ikr v'avdala tfeilu like at Hashem derishim. He says that the Ikr is the Kiddush, but there is Zocher and there is Shomer. It says Zocher and it says V'Zocharta. So So the ikir is take, or it says zocher and shomer, and the ikir is kiddush, but there's also mitzvah Havdala. Okay, and these are the psukim that the Meforshim bring. So the shaila is which pasuk it comes from, or it comes from the pasuk Havdala ben Kiddush ben Achol, or it's one is keneged zocher, one is keneged shomer. Okay. The Rambam doesn't bring
shomer is
to guard it on the.
Guarding it means you should keep it longer. So how will you know Havdalah from there?
No, that you should make a gate. You shouldn't go in. They shouldn't be noya the kedushas kodesh minik choil until you make a gate. You're guarding it because you know that there is a clear gate when you declare, oh, Shabbos is out now. So that's guarding the holiness of Shabbos. So zocher is when Shabbos comes in, and shomer is when Shabbos goes out. That's what the Migdaloi says. Good. So either it's the pasuk of Lahavdala ben Kiddush l'chayil or zocher v'shomer. Problem is that that's not what it seems from the Rambam. That's not what the Rambam is saying. The Rambam didn't say the pasuk of Lahavdil, and he didn't say zocher v'shomer. Rambam clearly says mitzvah says even atoyir l'kadosh yom Shabbos v'dvorim shenemar. It says in the pasuk zocher yom Shabbos l'kadosh. V'tzarich lizocher b'knesosoi u'b'tziyosoi. The Rambam puts it all together as one thing.
In other words, he doesn't say the whole pasuk, but for the pasuk of Zocher, you have Shama also, right?
It says it doesn't even. Yeah, he doesn't separate. He doesn't separate between Kiddush and
In other
Havdala.
words, B'tziyosai. Where does he get B'tziyosai?
Right. It sounds like he gets it from this pasuk.
And he said klomar, and he explains it.
Right. He says exactly. Kolomar. He explains it. It sounds like.
Well, women are chayiv in all mitzvahs of Shabbat, even though it's his man or not. So why should this be different?
Right. Now it depends which pasuk you're learning from. If you learn it from Zocher and Shomer, then they would be chayiv. If you learn it from the pasuk Lahavdil ben Hakodesh ben Achoil, which is talks about separating between Toer and Tomei, and
Why do you need to learn it from a special pasuk? Because there's a rule that all mitzvot of Shabbat women are chayiv. So
that's the question. Is it a din in mitzvah Shabbos, or maybe it's machal not a din in mitzvah Shabbos? Is it a din in mitzvah Shabbos? Maybe it's nothing to do with Shabbos.
well, it's Havdalah, but in Shabbos l'chol, that's has to do with Shabbat.
Okay, you see that not as the Mishnah points out, not everyone agrees with the Rambam that it's mitzvah seishal Torah.
Even if it's the Rabbanan.
Okay, yeah.
Well,
But you're saying it's not. That you're saying that it makes sense that they're chayav min Torah because they're equal to men.
yeah.
Right, so I'm saying it depends. It's if you say that the pasuk is a pasuk that involves Shabbos, that it stands to reason women and men are the same thing. But if you say it comes from some obscure pasuk that has to do with Lahavdil ben HaKodesh ben Achol ben Atome ben Ator, ben Achayin Achelos Mechayev Asher Lo Teochel, then who says that the women are obligated in that? So it's not a din of Shabbos. It's like it sounds strange, but if you say that. It sounds.
The whole way of thinking is
Okay, I agree with you. It sounds strange, but if you say that, then what you're saying is that women are not part of it.
Okay.
Okay. So the Rebbe suggests 3 mahalchim of how to understand the mitzvah of Havdalah. One is that Kiddush. Kiddush. One is you have Kiddush HaChodesh, for example. Why does the Bezdin have to say Mekudesh, or Mekadesh Yovel? Right? Why does the Bezdin have to say Mekudesh? Because that declaration sanctifies the month, the day. That declaration sanctifies the year. When we say it, we sanctify it, okay? So, there is such a thing that the Yid, B'dibur is Mekadesh to Shabbos, right? In order to bring in the Kiddush of Shabbos, declare the Kiddush of Shabbos, so the Yid says it. If that was the case, then Havdalah is not in the same league. If you're saying that Kiddush, what's the pshat of Kiddush? The pshat of Kiddush is like Kiddush HaChodesh, Kiddush HaYovel. You declare it Kodesh. So Havdalah, you're not declaring it Kodesh, but you're going out, you're not coming in. So it's obviously that at that point Havdalah is a different din. The Havdalah is one thing, Kiddush another thing. There's two different separate things.
But we talk a whole the Shabbos is Kiddush V'Kaima, that it's not like Yontif and the
True. We hold that Shabbos is Makatcha V'Kaima.
Yeah.
True. But we also hold that you can't be Mekadosh the Chodesh V'Chutz La'aretz, right?
Okay.
Unless there was no one as big in Eretz Yisrael or whatever. But ordinarily, you can't be Mekadosh the Chodesh b'chutz la'aretz.
Yeah.
If there is people in Eretz Yisrael, they could do the job.
Yeah.
So why are me and you standing on the bima and saying Yechad Sheyu HaKadosh Baruch Hu? So for whatever reason, say it's a yeah.
So why is, if Mekadosh is something which is, you're proclaiming something, according to the Rambam, we're saying it's Kiddush on Shabbos is the Raisa, is the Rabbana, it should be the Raisa. If you learn it from Yovel, you learn it from...
Yeah, he holds it's the Raisa. Clearly the Rambam holds
We said before Kiddush, Havdala is the Raisa also, or not by...
both did I said. Rambam
Both
says
the
it clearly.
Raisa.
Mitzvah Siman HaTorah, it's a Mitzvah Siman HaTorah again.
The Havdala as well.
Right. So you're right. It's not mamish, you know, like...
It's not like Yontif.
It's not mamish like Yom
Shvaitis.
right? But there is. The Rebbe has a whole chiddush that we once learned about. There is a concept that Mahalach b'midbar that he counts.
You don't know,
right? Doesn't know.
which day
Yeah, I forgot
Yeah.
That's the Gemara
So
talking about.
right. So Moina Shishiyomim. So we see there is such a concept that the Yidden count 6 days
They could.
and they sanctify the seventh day. It's not in the same way of Moedos,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
through Kiddush HaChodesh
Yeah, well-
or Yovel,
Yeah.
but there is something sort of on a smaller scale. There is such a thing as sanctifying Shabbos, you could say.
Right.
That's number one. Number two, you could say that Zochas Yom Shabbos Lakacher means that. What do you mean Lakacher? The word Kodesh. What is the word Kodesh? Rashi explains many times that Kodesh means mufresh, separated. You have to put boundaries on both sides of Shabbos. When you're coming in, you're coming out. Right when Shabbos comes in, you declare it with a cup full of wine with Kiddush. And when Shabbos goes out, you declare that Shabbos is over. Like b'Mishayich HaYovel, Heim Yalavar. You declare that the Kedusha was Siluk HaShechina when it goes. So you make a gate coming in, you make a gate on the other side where you're going out. You declare it when you're coming in, you declare what comes out. That's Zochashem Shalakache, Lafrishe. How do I know that this day is mufresh from all the other days? Because I make a big brouhaha when I come in, and I make a big brouhaha when I go out. I make Kiddush coming in, and I make Kiddush when I'm going out. According to this, Kiddush and Havdalah is really very similar, but they're still two separate things. This is declaring the Kedusha coming in, and this is declaring the Kedusha going out. A third way of learning it is no. And the second way, really, it sounds from the Rambam Sefer HaMitzvahs. The Rambam says, these are the words of the Rambam. The Rambam says that the Eibusha said to Mekadosh Shabbos, B'knesosav u'b'tziyosai, Kiddush hayom u'malosai, v'hi bodloi mishar hayom u'makoidmi b'menu v'aboy ma'achelov. You show how this day there is day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. It's another day. Oh, this day stands out. How do I show it stands out? I make Kiddush on the way in, Havdalah on the way out. So that's what the Rambam says in Sefer HaMitzvahs. Good. The third way you could say is even more, which is what sounds here in the Rambam in the Sefer of Yad HaChazak in the Mishnah Torah. We say mitzvahs as Sefer Torah lakadosh Yom HaShabbos b'dvarim shnem zachar Shem lakadshoi kolaim zecheres shevach v'kiddush. It's all one thing. It's a zechir of shevach v'kiddush. Meaning that it's not to declare that now the Kedusha just came in, the Kedusha just came out. We have to declare Zochas Shem Shlavish Lakache. Lakache doesn't mean Zlafrishe. Lakache means Zochareu Zechira Shevach. Shevach. Say, to exalt the day. How do I know the day is exalted? I think things, there's mirrors, there's all kinds of stuff. Bring in the base Menachem when you get a hot kugel and salsa. But Chazal said there's one thing you should do to exalt the Shabbos. Take a kois of yayin on the way in, and a kois, but not that to show that he bodla, it's a separate day. That's what the Rambam wants to explain. Koloimer, I'm telling you, what's up shot in the pasuk? Lakache. Lakache doesn't mean lafrisha. Lakache means the koloimer zachrei zachira shevach. To exalt the day. I want you to exalt the day. So we have our three ways of understanding Kiddush. And based on that, we understand what Havdalah is. One way is Kiddush is to sanctify the day. Memail Havdalah is totally a different business. What is Havdalah? Second way is, like the Rambam says, Evra Mitzvahs. He bodli misharayom. Zachas yemashal lekacha. What does it mean lekacha? Lekacha means la frisha. It's parshos muvdal. Like Kiddush, a lot of times Chassidus brings this. Kiddush means muvdal. Kiddush means muvdal. He bodli misharayom. So when it goes in, I make a fence. When it goes out, I make a fence. I show that it's different. It's elevated from all the other days.
Because if you don't have Shabbos, you don't have a week. If you don't have a week, you don't have Shabbos.
Right.
So you make a separation.
You make a separation, the way in and the way out, exactly. The third way is no. Zachas yemashal lekacha koloimar zachiras shavach. Kodesh doesn't mean mufrish. Kodesh could mean many things. Depends on the context. Kodesh over here doesn't mean mufroshim, like Rashi says many times. Kodesh means exalted. Exalted. Exalt the Shabbos. Declare to your whole family and to yourself that this is a very special day. And you do it twice. Okay.
So basically, you said
that's what I'm saying here.
What if you don't have wine? So this is where you get it by saying without wine. Let's say the guy didn't have wine or a challah. You only had. So this is where you could say by exalted by shvach of Shabbos making it.
Right. But there will be many nafkaminas. 3 nafkaminas, major nafkaminas.
Wow.
One major nafkamina is if you say the third way that really Zachas Yom Shabbos Lakacha means you have to exalt the day, and you do it. Chazal said you do it explained. Didn't say they explained that you do it twice. So then say I said the nusach Kiddush instead of Havdala instead of Kiddush.
Doesn't matter.
Who cares? I picked up a code.
The Gemara says, Zachariah. No, but you're saying there is no Gemara about Havdala.
To explain why we do it.
Yeah.
That's the whole Perek Elul Varim is about Havdala.
Kiddush, it says Zachariah al Yayin. That's
what it says, right?
So now we want to say which husband, number 3?
If we say husband number 3,
yeah,
that Kiddush and Havdala is mamish the same thing.
Yeah.
Like it sounds from the Rambam here.
Right, yeah.
That we are exalting the Shabbos. Zachariah al Yayin. So just like it says by Kiddush, the Gemara Zachariah al Yayin is by Havdala is the Zolbazach.
Okay.
So it could be Chazal say Kol HaMashanim Madbeisha Tov Chacham Brochas Ein Elo Toya, that there's a certain amount of words that if you mess up in a brocha, you're out of the game. Like we learned by Berchas Hamazon. If you didn't mention in the second brocha Bris V'Toira,
Yeah, right.
You're out. There's certain essential words that you have to mention in certain brachas. If you miss them out, you miss a word here or there in the shkefalach, you know. But there's key words. If you mention them, you're in. If you don't, you're out. So it could be midarabonon you might, but at least minatoira if you made Havdala. So who cares? Who cares that he made the nusach Havdala instead of Kiddush Havdala? Who cares? The ikid is that he exalted the day. He picked up a kos of yain and he exalted the day. What's the difference with exactly the words he said? He picked up a kos of yain and he exalted the day. I think it tongue good.
I never heard of somebody making Friday night Havdala or Motzei Shabbos made a Kiddush.
Well, but we have Yaknahaz, right?
Yeah, but
We have the Yaknahaz.
Right.
Yeah.
So basically, we're saying that you could elevate it with words.
Now, if we should go back to the story of the soldier in Gaza,
So I just want the question. So who made up Havdalah? If there's no Gemara,
the Anshe Knesset Gdoila made it up, as the Gemara says in Daf Lamed Gimel. And they said that first they said to do it because they were poor. They said to do it betfila. They got richer. They said to do it al kois shel yain.
So that's already in the Gemara.
Good. The Gemara
So
says
I'm just saying,
right.
So there's a Gemara.
But
Gemara already says
but
about
to
Havdalah.
explain is it the Gemara doesn't say the Chazal darshan the pasuk zochas.
Right, I understand.
So that's not so clear in the Gemara.
Yeah, okay. It was Anshe Knesset Havdalah.
Right. Did they just come along and tell me the nusach, but Yidden were doing Havdalah all along? Or is it that they invented it? The Gemara doesn't go into that.
So that's why, in other words, some are learning it's not the Raisa, right? Havdalah.
Right. The Rambam clearly states mitzvahs asay min haTorah. That this is a mitzvah asay min
So
haTorah.
basically, you're saying the story of the soldiers is the same idea, right? Saying backwards, Havdala first, then
Why would that be a contradiction? Like in the
No
morning,
problem.
we say a person that was up on whatever, it was nanas for whatever reason, and it's now Alois Shacha. And he didn't do Kiddush Mishal Arvis. He could do right now Kiddush Mishal Arvis. But he can't do right after that Kiddush Mishal Shacha. Because we say to him, listen, Boychik, is it night or is it day? You could turn the dice this way or the other one. You can flip the coin, but you can't have both ways. So if you want to say, but I'm Nachmaz al Derech, I can't help you. You can't have this period of time and tell me that this is this is night and it's also day. You pick. That's the din of Shulchan Aruch. You pick. You pick.
But not both of them.
It's night or day for you. We give you a discount. You pick. Usually we say it's day, it's night. You can't decide it's day, it's night. But between the Zman of Alois Shacher and the Zman of Krishma, so we say at that critical moment, that little time, so a person that was nanas all night, you could pick, but you can't have both. You could say, for me, a person nechbaz al derech, he could say, for me, it's morning already. That's it. He says Krishma and it's again. He goes on because he has to go. Okay, fine. For you, it's morning. The other guy said he was nanas. He slept all night. He was shikar. He got him. Okay, for you, it's night. Okay, for you, it's night. For you, it's day. Great. The third guy says he's a chacham. For me, it's night and day. Sorry, you're still drunk. You can't be night and also day. You pick. It's night. Fine. It's day. Fine. You can't tell me it's night and it's day. Can't say, oh, I said Kiddush. Oh yeah, I decided to. But here, the soldier who already made Havdala, if you say according to the first water.
So wait, we're talking after Alos, but before the end of Zman Krishma.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
before Alos,
after
you could
Netzach
say,
it's all over.
Before Alos, you could say Kriyishma Shal Ma'arav.
After Alois Hashach.
after.
After Alois Hashach.
Yeah, okay. All right.
So one man who is running out because he has to catch a group of people going in the
Whatever,
desert,
yeah.
he could say Kiddush
fine,
Mashal
yeah.
Shachris. And the other guy who was drunk by night, he could say Kiddush Mashal Arvis. But the third guy who wants to do both, we tell him.
You can't do that.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can't do that.
So basically,
So back to our soldier. If you say like the third svara, we say that Kiddush and Havdalah is the same thing. Like the sounds from the Rambam here. You exalt the Shabbos. So you can't say, wait a minute. Rabbi Yid, you already made Havdalah. So what are you telling me? I said, listen, I said Havdalah. So I said Havdalah. Okay, so what?
No, I'm making Yish.
I declared that Shabbos is holy. I declared. Well, so what? So what? Okay. That's but according to the other svaras, no, Kiddush is Kiddush and Havdalah is Havdalah. They're two separate things.
So what did Rabbi Silverstein Pascha at the end?
Wait till tomorrow.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. So
Day or night? Night or day?
second svara, second nafkamina is a person who didn't make Havdalah klal. He made Kiddush, he didn't make Havdalah. So according to the third svara, that the declaration of the Kiddush Shabbos has two parts to it, Kiddush and Havdalah. So you sort of, until you do the whole thing, you didn't do it. You have to do the whole thing. That's how you Mishabeach Shabbos is by two parts. There's part one, Kiddush. It's called part two is Havdalah. So you didn't do it. But if you say the first svara, for example, which is that you sanctify Shabbos, you're saying Kiddush. Havdalah is a different thing. Lahavdal ben HaKadosh ben HaChayil. Kiddush is Kiddush. A person was a from Yid on Sunday. Monday, I gave him a sugar. He went to McDonald's. And he gets some basar b'chol. It doesn't mean that the Sunday, that the kashrus that he ate became treif. Retroactively. Zondag hat gedavent. Montag hat nicht gedavent. Okay, so Zondag, for Zondag he'll go into Gan Eden. For Monday, he'll get a few schmitz in Gehenna. But Sunday doesn't get erased. Right? Then there's a third nafkamina, which is women, which is that what we spoke about before. If you say that the Pasuk Zochas Yom Shabbos L'Katshoi tells me you need to do two things, Kiddush and Havdalah. So like he said before, why should it be a woman different than men? We know b'chol ma'isa Shabbos, women or men are exactly the same thing. Right, the women are men exactly the same. If you learn it from the pasuk Zachar Shem Shabbos L'Gadshoi, there can never be a difference between a man and a woman. Right,
everybody's the same.
They're the same thing. But if you say that they're two separate things, so now I have to know which pasuk you're learning it from. If you're telling me like the Maggid Mishnah, there's a pasuk in parshyos Shmini, lahavdal ben hakodesh uben hachoel uben hachaya nechelos uben chaya shaloi teyochel. Is a woman obligated in that mitzvah? I don't know if she's obligated. Who says a woman is obligated in that mitzvah? Maybe only a man is obligated ben atome ben atoyer to differentiate between tome and toyer and between kodesh and choel. Who says the woman is obligated? It has nothing to do with Shabbos. It's nothing to do with Shabbos. So who says the woman is obligated in that? And indeed, there are the Rishonim who hold that women are not chayiv in the mitzvah of Havdala, and that this is only a mitzvah d'Rabbanan, then that they never put this obligation onto the women. Why? Because Kiddush and Havdala are two separate mitzvahs, and if it comes from the pasuk lahavdal ben hakodesh and hachoel, has no connection to women.
So women don't have to hear quantum opinions Havdala.
There's a bit.
Rabbanan.
Yeah. No, they say even the Rabbanan though.
They don't even have.
No, I'm sorry. They say the Rabbanan you do. Sorry. But
They do
Torah,
say, like,
right? They say the Torah you don't have to, but the Rabbanan you.
But wait a minute. If you say it's like from this lahalu ben hakosh lachol, so why it doesn't have to do with ladies? Why?
It's not. It's why should you say it is? It's not something which is.
It's not a din in Shabbos.
It's not a din in Shabbos.
Okay, but it's not the. It's not. I mean,
it's not a mitzvah. Say it's a mitzvah she'ein azman groma. It's not like the Torah says.
Okay, so it's more not.
So that's what they're not. It's something which is times which is. I'm sorry, it's the opposite. It is a tazman groma.
Why?
Because if you're saying lahavdil ben hakodesh ben hachoel,
yeah.
So there is a zman which is kodesh, and there's a zman that's choel. The zman that's kodesh is not choel, and the zman that choel is not kodesh.
Okay.
So there's different zmanim here.
In other words, this inyan that there's in all inyanim of Shabbos is like an overriding thing that overrides this
everything.
Grama business.
Right, it overrides everything. But it got to be a part of Shabbos.
Has to be Shabbos, but I see. Okay.
If it's not Shabbos,
okay. All right. Okay.
So these are the three major
You make
nafkaminas.
Havdalah after Shabbos, not in Shabbos. You remember Shabbos,
Right.
but after Shabbos you remember.
Right, that's an interesting thing. Exactly.
Friday you could make Kiddush before. But,
Right.
But
Mele Friday that you make the Kiddush before because you're bringing in the Kiddush of Shabbos earlier. Well, what's the pshat that Motzah Shabbos you could make it earlier? So look at, for example, look here in the Rambam. Alocha Beis, he says the Nusach of Kiddush. Alocha Gimel, he says Nusach of Havdala. Alocha Dalet, he says Ikar Kiddush Balayla. The main thing Kiddush Banayt. Lo Kiddush Balayla, Bein B'Shek, Bein B'Meiz, Mekadosh Rel Kalim, Kuli could do the whole day. V'mlo Yivdo Balayla, Mavdal Lamocher, Mavdal Vaylachat, Seifim Shlishi, Avlenim Avorech, Aloyer, El Balel Metzoy Shabbos Belvad. Why is this the first halacha after he says the Nusach? Because the Rambam is showing you. The Rambam is showing you his shita. The Rambam is showing you his shita. He's showing you that there is that Zocher es Yom HaShabbos L'Kadshoi is not just right. There's an interesting shita in the Rambam. The Rambam says Zocher es Yom HaShabbos L'Kadshoi. There's two things. He says there's two mitzvahs. There is Zocher and there is L'Kadshoi. There is remembering Shabbos every day of the week. You have to remember Shabbos every day of the week. L'Kadshoi,
There's
only Friday.
is only in Shabbos.
Shabbos.
Right. So we have here a similar thing in the Rambam. Main of what the Rambam says that there is two parts of this mitzvah. There is that
We do talk about Yom Yom when you say right. Hayom Yom Rishon, Shabbos. You're already on Sunday morning saying.
right. Otazoi.
So you remember it, and on Sunday already.
Wednesday we say Lachun Arana. Tomorrow we say by.
No, but when you say Hayom Yom Rishon, Shabbos. You're already on Sunday. You're remembering Shabbos.
Right.
So the whole week you must.
So this is the pshat, you could say, the Hezbollah and the Rambam. That's why in other words, there is two mitzvahs in the Zikaron of Shabbos. Like the Ramban, similar to what the Ramban says. Similar to what the Ramban says. The Ramban says there's Zocher as Yom Shabbos and Lekatshe of Yom Shabbos. Zocher is all days of the week and Lekatshe is on Shabbos. Also here, the Rambam says there is the Lekatshe which you make in Kiddush, and then there's the Zocher which is
You're making Havdala on Motzei Shabbos.
what is it? When you make Havdala Motzei
So
Shabbos.
Shabbos.
Right.
Which is the Rambam says this?
The Ramban says that there's two mitzvahs. Zocher, every day of the week you have to remember. Similar to a Shammai. Shammai used to go into the marketplace Sunday, saw a fat guy. Yeah. And that's Zocher Yom Shabbos. And then Lekatshe of Yom Shabbos is on Shabbos. So also here, it's similar to that. You could say in the Rambam, the function of Kiddush is the Lekatshe, and the function of Havdala is the Lezochre. Now that I'm going from Shabbos out of Shabbos, I might forget about Shabbos. So I'm making a declaration right now that I shouldn't forget Shabbos. I have to remember Shabbos for all the days of the week.
Remember, we learned last week, if a person has wine enough, either for Kiddush or Havdala. So we told him to keep it for Havdala, not for Kiddush. That means
Because you could do it pass.
the Zikaron is what? Is more
There's
to
more,
take it
you
out
could say.
than Shabbos. Because you already did on Friday.
Right. So the Rebbe says, Amore de Kevort. It's brought in Chassidus, and the Seh Derech Mitzvasecha, that what's the inyan of Havdala? The inyan of Havdala is that we take the Kiddush of Shabbos and we bring it into the whole week. That's the mitzvah of Havdala. Not like you think that Havdala is like, okay,
Separate.
Goodbye.
Separate
Goodbye.
between
right. It's not a goodbye party. It's a thing where we...
Carry over.
How to say? To carry over the Kiddush of Shabbos into the entire week. That's the whole tachlis of the mitzvah of Havdala according to Pnimis HaTorah. And that's brought in Derech Mitzvasecha, in the Sefer Derech Mitzvah Tzedek, that's the whole function of Havdala. So you could say, according to the Rambam, it works out really well. Because according to the Rambam, Havdala is not lahavdil ben HaKodesh ben HaChoel, like we said in the first way. Or Zochis Yom Shabbos Lekatshe means the Havdala, we have to separate this day, so by making a fence in the fence out. Like the third way, we said that the Zochas Yom Shabbos Lekatshe, we have to exalt the Shabbos. There's two parts of exalting Shabbos. On Shabbos and on the 6 days of the week. We exalt Shabbos on Shabbos through Kiddush. We exalt Shabbos 6 days of the week through Havdala. This is mamish oile v'kona echet to what we say in Chassidus, that the mitzvah of Havdala is to bring the Kiddush of Shabbos and the rest of the week. That the rest of the week should also be felt Kiddush. Chulin shel nasa ataras hakodesh. Kol maseches l'shem shemayim b'chol derech. The davening every day of the week is a connection to the davening of Shabbos. The whole tachlis is to bring from Kedushas of Shabbos into Sheshes Yimei HaMaaseh. Not just a separate day. Faket. So, in a way, Havdala is more spectacular than Kiddush. And if a person doesn't do Havdala, it's a felt in Shabbos. It's Zochas Yom HaShabbos, a felt in Shabbos. Because he didn't finish Shabbos. The nekud of Shabbos is to bring in the Kedusha the rest of 6 days. He didn't bring in the Kedusha the rest of 6 days, so he's missing in Shabbos. He's missing in Shabbos. There's a shliach.
Shabbos,
Kol Yemen, exactly. So the pshat is that there has to be Shoch of Kedusha. Right. And this is Mamish the word.
Sorry.
That, again, so according to the Rambam, they're both Kiddush and Havdalah is both men Torah, and not only the Kiddush and Havdalah both men Torah, but they're both the same thing. They're both Zocher Shem Shabbos Lekatshe, which over here means, what does Lekatshe mean? As we said before, there are three explanations in what's Pshat Kiddush. One is Kiddush like Kiddush Chodesh or Mekadosh, or second is Kiddush means Lahafrish, and the third is Kiddush means to exalt, L'Shabeach. The Rambam holds that Kiddush is the third one. It's to exalt the day. So we exalt the day of Shabbos when we go in, and we exalt him in the rest of the 6 days of the week, because when we're going from Shabbos into Chol, we talk about the Kedusha and the Gewalt of Shabbos. That helps us bring the Zikaron of Shabbos into Sheshimei Chol. That's mamish the word of Chassidus, that the inyan of Havdala is not Chas Shom to separate from Shabbos Fakir. so we can have chulin shenasal taras hakodesh. And the rest of the days of the week we bring it from Kiddush to Shabbos. This is a story that a shliach told.
Excuse me, and then what Shabbos you Mekadosh through Havdala.
Right.
And what's the Sefer Derech Mitzvah Sichos?
Derech Mitzvah Secha is a sefer that has the secrets of every mitzvah, and this is a mitzvah mila tzemach tzedek, right? It's daf ches amud aleph.
Yeah. He
says that the whole idea of Havdalah is to bring the Kedushas HaShabbos into the Sheishas Yemei HaChol.
To carry, like what you said, to carry it over.
So a shliach said like this: there was a girl. There's a shliach that a girl started coming to. She's an architect. A girl was coming to their home Friday nights for dinner. It was going on for a few months, and she was getting really warmed up in the whole thing of Torah mitzvahs. She finally decided that she's keeping Shabbos. She's keeping Shabbos.
Like this is a shliach in university?
Yeah. She's keeping Shabbos. So shliach in England. Keeping Shabbos. A few weeks later, she's working in a firm, and they had some spectacular contract with some company in Kenya, and they wanted to send down 20 architects to be there for a few weeks. This was like a plum assignment. So she was called to go with the team. She was chosen to be from the team of 20 architects that are going down. When's the flight? So she tells them, so they never knew she keeps Shabbos with Shabbos. They didn't know that, but she said no. So they said fine. She could back out. They'll take someone else. Is she in or she out? She said I'm out. It was very difficult for her. It was like, she's starting off her career, and here she gets such a good assignment. They flew down to Kenya, and it was that weekend when there was a massacre in the mall. There was a fancy mall, and there was a hotel, and a couple of the people from that team got killed. And it was 3 years ago. A couple of people of that team the architects, 70 some people were killed. Yeah,
Terrorists?
in a terrorist attack in a mall, a fancy mall in Kenya. They were killed.
So Zacha de Shama.
Very good. She was protected. Now, not only that, it gets even better. The other ones were traumatized. They came back, well, not shaykh to do any work, but they still had a contract, and they needed some good architects.
So now she got a job.
She got it for double the pay.
Price.
She got it for double the pay.
So paid off keeping Shabbos.
Yeah, she kept it.
It's always pay off to keep Shabbos.
So
You always get paid back.
yeah, it does. In the Sheishas Yemei HaChol, she got paid back.
Right.
So that's the of Shabbos, that the Shabbos the Kiddush has to come into all the other 6 days of the week. And that's why we make Havdalah, not to separate Shabbos, but one, we make Kiddush to declare the Kiddush of Shabbos as we go in, and one make Havdalah to exalt Shabbos, that we should remember that our job is to bring the Kiddush of Shabbos to Shreish Yemei HaChol. Halavai that we're matzliach in this job. And when we're matzliach in this job, we'll bring Mitzvah Hashem, bring Mashiach Tzidkenu, and that'll be Yom Shekulei Shabbos HaMenucha, L'chai Elomim.
Amen.